Pleasant good morning, one and all. Good morning. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Welcome. Today is Monday, the 24th day of March, 2025. Welcome to one and all. I know that we have some technical issues at the beginning of the broadcast, but bear with us. We're going to work those things through. We are going to work it through. I don't know exactly what is the problem, but I'll seek some technical assistance and we're going to work it through. Well, welcome to another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Hope you're looking forward to a very rewarding and productive week. Yeah, Monday. Today is Monday, the 24th day of March, 2025. March is almost at an end. And therefore, we need to bring you the information. We keep reminding you that this is an election year, and therefore you're going to get all kind of misinformation and disinformation and all type of propaganda. But when you want credible, valuable information as it relates to corruption and incompetence, we are going to bring it to you. We are not politicians. We try to avoid the politics, but sometimes the corruption and the incompetence are intertwined with the politics, and it's not difficult, it's not easy to separate them. So welcome. I have to compliment you students. The program again was scheduled today at just exactly 7 o'clock. Exactly 7 o'clock when I pushed the button and entered the studio, 7 o'clock. And already students were there in the schoolyard. As I said, they're playing in the schoolyard. Well, they were outside at first. And then when the gates were open, then they came into the schoolyard. And of course, when the school doors were open a few minutes ago, they are in the classroom taking up all the vantage points. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is here, ready and waiting. I shouldn't have to tell you that when the day comes, but part of the formality. Ready to give you the credible, valuable information. I am prepared. This morning, again, we have lots and lots of issues to talk about. We might be challenged in terms of the time, but we're going to bring it to you. We are going to bring the information. We're going to analyze all that is going on, and we're going to bring it to you. As I've said, my colleague is already in the studio, and it's good to see so many students. If you check on the chat there, I'm sure you will be surprised as to the number of students that are in the classroom this morning. I think we are close to, if not past, a record. Definitely a record for a Monday, maybe an overall record for students attending on the class. Already, we are up to 500. But I have to say, the thumbs up are not commensurate with the amount of, or it does not match the amount of students in the school, in the classroom. So give us a thumbs up, show your appreciation, and we're going to bring the information to you. You keep it, as I said, it's a great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. I see one of the students commented, great day, but where he is, it's raining. Doesn't make it any less better. Still a great day because you are in the land of the living. You must rejoice. You must give praise and thanks for being privileged to be in the land of the living. Yes, many persons will not have been this fortunate. Share the life. Let them know that we are on. By now the regulars know the timings and so on. The regulars don't miss out. What we're going to is the people who are not fully familiar. We know too that some people, they are unable to get the live, so they go on YouTube. Because for many reasons, some people at work, and they are threatened not to listen to the show. If you're at work, you're at work. So we're not going to encourage you to be at work and to listen to the show. But when you go home in the afternoon or whenever, YouTube, it is there on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You're going to get notification when we go live. Follow the page, and that's a YouTube channel. Follow the page on Facebook. You will get similar notification when anything is posted on the channel. So let's go. As the usual format, roll call, then announcements, and then we're going to move into it. The roll call is long this morning, so bear with me. It is long this morning because of the number of students in the schoolyard this morning. And we schedule at 7. And this man, I believe this man coming down from the hills overnight, Ballhead. Bartlett coming down from the hills. He tell us the hills in Linden. But he can't be getting into the schoolyard so early, so frequently, if he up in the hills in the morning. So he coming down overnight, he camping out, and then when the doors are open, school gates are open, he comes in. So Bartlett was there at 7. He was followed by several other students. I think there were 13 students who came in at 7 o'clock. I wish to compliment them. Conor Bookman was there next. Evelyn, Carlton, my squad mate, Charlene, Kenneth, Winston from California, Marcia, John, Ulrich from across the river, West Denmark, Aubrey, Clifton from Paris, Moses. All these people came in at 7 this morning as soon as the gates were open. Then we had Peter shortly after. Sean back in New York. Man was showing off on us that he was way down under in New Zealand. Welcome back to the US. Marlon is here. Leon, Tessa. Tessa came in at 7:01. Derek came in at the same time. We have Cecile, Wayne, Orin, Emerson. All they came in at 7:01. Then it was Patricia G from New Jersey, Aubrey from Canada, Sandra, Joan from New Amsterdam, Carl, Felicia, Courtney, New Jersey man, Floyd. Floyd is here with us. Anthony, Magnell, Tom Cat is here. Tom Cat, Seymour, Brian, Vibert, Lawson, 702, Desiree from Georgia. Then it was Denise, and she said in GT, I think. Anthony, 11032, the short and vibrant sergeant back in the day at TSU St. Peter's Hall in the East Bank. Pastor Smith is here, 9339. Earl, Hazel. Then it was Francis Skeet from Melanie Damashana. Rawl, 11752, East Coast man. Grantley, Pito from Queens is here. Clarence. Then it was Henrik. Danny is here with us. Aileen, Brennan, Wayne from the UK. Pauline. Then it was Russ Ricardo. He came in. Lennox, Claremont, Ivor, Charles, Terrence, and this is Terrence Young. He is from Canada. The Angel is with us. Barbara, Lyndon, Brenda, Benji from Myconi is here. 8948. Harold, Derek, Compton, Amanda, Claremont, Lucius is here with us. Morton, Neville, Hazel is here as well. Troy, Ulrich, and this is Ulrich Stevens, my squad mate, 9555 is here. He's out of Barbados. Bonita, Forbes, Jakey is here from Maryland. Glendis, 0892. Albert is with us. Gordon, and Gordon is here. He came in at 7:31. Isabella, Pamela from West Dem. Claire, Mandela is here. Tony is here with us. Winslow. Then it was Dwayne, Nigel. I think sure this is Lyndon. Nicola, Colin from Queens. Umi is here. Kay, Gavin, Sharon from the UK. Anthony, Rosalind, George from BV on the East Coast. Annette, Melinda, Colin, 8941. Marva, Denise, the secretary is here. Junior, Dion, Smithy is here, 7464. Vibert Smith. Then it is Marcus. Then Princess R from Lamar Springs, 6123. Tilula, Dexter is here. Rhonda, Karen, Vivian, Gail, Lawrence, Dorette, Joseph, Lance, Maureen, Abera, Joy. Joy says she was 14890. I think I remember that person, ex-sergeant Joy. She's here. Rastaman, Akko, Lynn is here with us. Marlin, then Malcolm, welcome. Malcolm, what? 9218, I think. Kerry, Ovid, 0937. Heather from Queens. Royston, Vanessa, Siobhan. Then it was Connolly, Lyndon, Aticia, Valerie, Lorraine, Don. Don says he's in the interior. He's watching from the interior. Old man with me at traffic headquarters. Don. Queenie is here. Lyndon, Jacko from Georgia is in the house. Rayburn, David, Malcolm, Michael, Ainsworth, DeMarque, Kurt. Then after that it is Clive out of the UK. Lester, Salima, Carl, my squad mate from Arizona. Marlon, Oriat, Olive, Phil, George, 8727. Then it is Michael Brower from the British Virgin Islands. He's here with us. Kevin, Roxanne, Roderick, Dylan, Mary, Lynette from the UK is here. Cranston, Boo, Alexander, Vashti, Siobhan, Cord, Diane. Then it was Sean Maxwell. Sean Maxwell is here with us. Cheryl. Then it was Maxwell Beaton, 11704. Then Michael, the man from Imbaimadai in the interior. Clay Rose, Janella, Vernon, Rhonda. Then I'm still in the house. Carville, Lyndon, Leslyn, Roy from upstate New York, Nigel, John, Norbert, Terrence, Tessa, another John. This is John Roberts, Rogers from Tennessee, Denzel, Claude, Melville, Jason, R. Crawford, Orville, Carol, Courtney, Alistair, Allison, Vivian, David, and then it was Gordon, Everett, Monica, Sandrine, Leslyn, Marcus, then Lyndon, Dion, Father Masha is here with us. Chilo, Ronald, Uncle Paul is here. Samuel, Valietta is the last in the schoolyard. I just want to tell you about the number of students who were there. This is in the schoolyard before we went live, you know. Then when we went live, the first man, he always tried to get there first. He succeeds many of the time. Edward is here. Then it was after Edward, it was Willis, then Dion, and the list goes on and on and on. Altia, Stian, Simone, many students in the Trifosa is here with us, Lorelli, and the list goes on and on and on. So welcome, 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 welcome. That's the roll call. Now let me give you the announcements. You know, we said with the sad announcements first. We did tell you of the death of retired Assistant Commissioner Wilton Scott, and we said that he will be cremated Friday coming. And the wake will be on March 26th at Joint Services of the Scheme Community Ground. Church service will be held at St. Sidwell's Anglican Church, Vincentian Road, on Friday from 11 a.m. So those of you who want to go there. The viewing will be, I think, at Sandy's. I have some information about the viewing at Sandy's the very morning. We also regret to announce the death of former member, many of the older guys will know him, Dale Ramsey. His number was 11117. Ramsey worked at the TSU. Then he also think he was at CID as a driver for some time. He died, I think it was Friday. Under tragic circumstances, I understand that he was very ill. He had diabetes. As a result, he lost both legs, and then he became visually impaired, almost blind. And then I'm not going to go into the details of his death, but we understand that he died around Friday or something like that. But I would ask the police to look into that matter because there are some concerning issues that arose in the death of Ramsey. So the police should really take a check. I'm not going to discuss it here now, but look to see exactly what happened with Ramsey. And then I learned last night of the death of former member Morris Jarvis. We know him as Nassar. Nassar was a member of the band, and I know he used to visit the TSU frequently. Nassar Jarvis died yesterday, you understand, in New Jersey. And we also had the death of the legendary boxer George Foreman. George died over the weekend, I think sometime Friday or Saturday. George Foreman died. I think he was 76 or something like that. George Foreman died. Legendary. George lost the crown. Those of you who like boxing, I always remember George Foreman and Joe Frazier. George Foreman and Joe Frazier. Yeah, George had fight with Ali and so on. But I remember after Frazier had beaten Ali was my idol. So therefore, when Foreman, according to me, took revenge and beat up Frazier, I was so elated as a little boy following boxing in them days. And then, of course, who can forget? I think it was 1994. I would never forget that. I was at the police staff college when George Frazier came out of retirement. I think he was something like 46 or something like that, to fight Michael Mora, who was the heavyweight champion at the time. And George knocked him out. I was in England attending staff college at that time. I remember that very, very well, 1994. And of course, the other death that I want to announce, sad, tragic death yesterday morning of young attorney Akil Johnson. Akil Johnson died on Sheriff Street. The details, some 3-something yesterday morning, said he was riding a motorcycle going south, and there was this car, and he rode into the car, and he lost his life. Well, we got to talk about traffic this morning, and I'm going to delve a little bit more. We're going to delve a little bit more into that. But Akil Johnson is the grandson, for the older police who are here, grandson of Pablo Yewood. Remember Pablo Reginald Yewood, 6690, Reggie Yewood? Well, this boy who died, this young attorney, 27 years old, was Pablo's grandson, and he was the nephew of attorney at law, Roger Yewood. Roger, I know Roger very well, and so Roger nephew and Pablo grandson. So he passed away yesterday morning. More accidents. And that is not the only one since we last spoke. Since we last spoke, I think we had about 2 or 3 fatal accidents. We're going to deal with that a little more as we go on. Now, birthday greetings. Let me extend some birthday greetings. The birthday greetings will go today to a man who I met at West Demerara. I'm talking about Terence Ralph. We used to call him Action. Action birthday is today. You know, those people you can't forget. In 1993, when I went to West Demerara as a young officer there, superintendent, not in charge at first, I went there as they said 2IC, but there was a man who was there, still senior to me. They had not moved in yet. And when I became 2IC West Demerara and subsequently commander, Ralph and those seasoned policemen, even though I was senior to them, I looked to them for advice and guidance, and they would never mislead you. They never mislead. They knew the job. And once you were humble enough to go to them and to learn, they were ready to teach you. Ralph. So Ralph is celebrating, the man Action is celebrating a birthday today. I got some jokes about Action. I can't tell it on this program. But Action, whenever you catch up, I will remind you of some of those things. And belated birthday greetings are going out to retired officer Arlington Samuel, 7104. Sammy birthday was sometime, I think last week, Wednesday, and somehow we forgot to mention it. Sammy, I owe you a drink for that. Sammy, again, is one of the men. When I left training school in 1974, and I went to TSU, I joined the instructors group, and Sammy was one of the established instructors there. In 1977, we all went to the GDF on the drill sergeant course and so on. Good man, 7104, Arlington Samuel. So all the best to you, Sammy. Also celebrating a birthday recently was Assistant Commissioner Royston Andrews Jr. You know, Royston was charged with us with this conspiracy to commit fraud, and the matter was dismissed since December 2023. And out of spite, they have not reinstated that man yet. He remains as the most senior assistant commissioner in the police force. Even before those who were promoted to deputy, he was senior to all of them. And spitefully, they have not reinstated him. Others who have committed themselves, serious offenses. Matter finish, they reinstated in labor time, but they're getting Royston Andrews Jr. out there not being reinstated. And also recently, we had the birth anniversary of a squad mate of mine, a former Sergeant W328, Doreen Sanders, Miss Squaddy, and she used to be at CID headquarters there for some time. Also celebrating recently was Gladstone Drepal. I think his number was 8227. I can't be, I know if it's fully accurate. Y'all know, I don't remember these numbers, but Gladstone had a birthday recently. And yesterday was the birth anniversary of a friend of mine, Derek Teach. We used to call him Teach, Derek Rodney, 8516 Rodney, former member of the force. He was a traffic man. And then he was the Assistant General Manager Operations at NIS. He celebrated yesterday, Teach Johnson. And I hope with your celebrations and the invitations, you would have invited a particular person. I'm going to call it now, who that person is, but a particular person I'm sure you would have invited. And then we have some coming up shortly. Tomorrow, the birth anniversary of a student. Both of them are here. I'm talking about Ulrich, 83, 85, Ulrich Atkinson. He's observing tomorrow. And also observing tomorrow is Patricia Gravesandi, a regular student who is here on the live at this moment. So I want to take this opportunity to wish all those who celebrated recently, who celebrating today, and who will be celebrating shortly, a happy birthday to you all. I wish that God grant you good health, strength, and prosperity to see many, 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 many more years. And before I bring in CC, I just want to announce just to remind you that we are in the month of Ramadan still, and in the Lenten period. Ramadan and the Lent. And to tell you too, that today marks 376 day, this 376th day since Sergeant Alex Vaughan was shot and killed on the 12th of March, 2024. Sergeant on duty, whilst on duty, and up to now, you can't hear anything from them. Up to now, you can't hear anything from these people who claim to be transparent. Can't hear anything from them. And we had announcement over the weekend of Canada federal elections will be held on the 28th of April. You know, they had a Prime Minister, Mark Carney. He took over from Justin Trudeau just a few weeks ago, I think it was. And Trudeau has resigned. Carney took over. He has announced what they call a snap election to be held in April 28th, Canadian federal elections. And last week he told you that Trinidad will be going to the polls on the same day, April 28th. Cricket in the air. Before I bring in CC, I know both. Let me admit to you that I have my little iPad on the side, so you see me glance across now and again. I'm keeping track with what is going on in the cricket with LSG, Lucknow Supergiant, playing there against Delhi Capitals. See Puran playing for Lucknow Supergiant. He just got out some swashbuckling innings. Right now they are 175 for 4, or 15.5 overs. And let me say this: those of you who looked at the cricket yesterday, 286. I think Sunrisers Hyderabad made. I believe that this year, before the end of this season, some one or more team gonna make the 300 runs in the 20 over game. Good wicket and good batsmen and that small ground, 300. So let's watch out. CC, let me bring you in, man. Let me bring you in. CC, welcome up. You hope you had a wonderful weekend. You're looking forward to a productive week. Welcome, my brother.
Yeah, nice weekend. Good morning. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. My sympathy to the relatives, friends, family of those who passed away recently, and happy birthday greetings to all. And then I gotta apologize to Sammy Arlington Samuels, 81 years old, and I missed his birthday. I wish to apologize to him, and I understand he had a lovely birthday. I think he fed some children, and then during the evening, I think he got 2 shots of some kind of liquid there, And I must thank his wife for keeping him healthy and active. Yeah, I've been watching the cricket just like you, Paul, and I saw Puran made a 75, and I think in one over he hit 4 consecutive sixes and a 4. So the cricket is on, and I think it's 176 for 4, So, and the match yesterday was very exciting, with all those runs being scored. And I see our boy got some runs, for the some there about. Okay.
Right, yes, you're referring to Eti. Eti got some runs yesterday.
Yeah.
You're losing cause. I just noted that a student here tell you Carlton Crandon out of the UK, 12372. Crandon saying good morning or evening, and good you in the UK. Good afternoon to you, Carlton. Carlton is telling CC good afternoon as well. And somebody is telling me that tomorrow is the birthday too of Sharon Austin. Sharon Austin is celebrating today. All the best for you people. Now, let me tell you, certain things I don't tell you, but we're gonna bring it to you. Remember, some time ago, they had charged the mayor then you draft Singh, and Sheriff Duncan for obstruction. But the case was dismissed dismissed on March 11th, you know. Case dismissed on March 11th, and your police are going to tell you nothing, and there wasn't any big thing about it. There was a demonstration then where Sherrod and the mayor, they were trying to remove the people from Newmarket Street, those vendors there outside the hospital, and they had gone there. The mayor had thrown himself on the ground, blocking the trucks from dismantling the people's stand and so on. And then he had made some statement, which they went and they charged him for obstruction. Well, the obstruction charge against himself and Sherrod was dismissed recently. This incident occurred in December 2022. Charge was dismissed on the 11th of March. And you know, I remember that matter well, because when the man in charge of crime went to the mayor's office in relation to some statement he made, and they had to read, he went there to arrest him and to read the caution before charge. The detective officer in charge of crime in Georgetown had to take out a piece of paper to read the caution before charge. He took out a piece of paper to read. And those are indications that we get square pegs in round holes. Any little sensible police, at least in our time, can read, because those are things you're taught. You can't forget the caution before charge. So I always remember that the officer, I think he was a superintendent now, the man is promoted to senior superintendent now. He had to read the caution before charge from a piece of paper to the mayor. I would always remember that. Always remember that. And before I bring in Mr. Conway, you know, they told us that the 3 policemen from Rhineville were arrested because of the disappearance of drugs. They remember that see some drugs at the wharf, foreign drugs, foreign marijuana to be specific, I think they said. Sees somehow this thing disappeared, and we commented that exhibits are lodged in the property room, and the only one who should have access to the property room is the station sergeant. So I don't know how these people had access, but I understand that the thing might not have been lodged in the property room. Now let me say this, as a former senior commander, if it is that the drugs were not lodged in the property room and it subsequently disappeared, yes, those who remove it should be dealt with. But what happened to the person who failed to make sure that this is lodged properly in the property room? That is a neglect of duty. 4E1, I know the section good, contrary to section 4E1 of the Police Discipline Act, chapter 1701, because it should have been lodged, properly secured in the property room. And we'll tell you too that depending on the quantity, these things are taken to headquarters where they are secured in the TSU. So how come these things were left there to be then here to disappear within a short time? You know, disappear. Indication that all is not well, as we have been saying all along. Drugs disappear. Then we had a report. I bring Mr. Conway after this, that we showed you all the video last week where some men beating this man with a stick, and then the man he ended up dead in the police station, and cuff on his hand, the man ended up dead. I have not seen any release. I have not seen any statement to say exactly what transpired. So it looked like there's a cover-up there. I have not seen anything. Perhaps there was, but I have not seen, and I peruse the thing very frequently. Definitely did not see it in any of the regular media, and I would hope that would ask questions. This man was beaten. It is claimed that he was, I think they say it's Parfait Armory police station somewhere across the river. It is said that he either assaulted or wounded a passenger in the bus. And we saw the video where he was taken out. Let me show you the video again. This man was taken out from this bus and beaten, and then apparently handed over to the police, and he died. We show you the picture with him lying there dead in the police station. And we have not heard anything about that any further. I'm trying to find it. Hold on, I'm trying to find it to show it to you. I think this is it here. Yeah, that's part of the video. Well, I've not seen anything about it. I've not definitely not a release from the police. I've not seen the story carried in the any one of the dailies. So we're gonna keep watch on that. CC, let me bring you in to comment on those issues. CC, your views, my brother.
Yeah, in relation to the case with Sheriff Duncan and the mayor, just like you, I remember the detective superintendent had to pick out a piece of paper and read the caution, things that should be, if even the recruit would know that. I remember it 52 years ago. Do you wish to say anything? You are not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. But what we say may be taken down in writing and given in evidence, full stop. And there was a detective superintendent. I think he's a senior sup now. Had to find a piece of paper to read a caution which should be indelible in your mind. And yes, in the drugs at Rumvelt, Paul understand it, they switch, they put grass and other stuff. And it wasn't in the storeroom, it was in the way called the strong box, the place that is put firearms when people have to uplift firearms to go on duty and say, it was in the strong box for a couple of days. So anything happened, and the incident at Faith Harmony, where we were told some man was beaten and died in the lockups after being handcuffed. I haven't seen anything in the press about it, and also the police have not debunked what we reported. Something is wrong. They have not debunked anything. It's cover up all the time. Where a man died in the lockups. You had man died in the lockups at Letem. They say he hang himself here on the pans. Man commit suicide in the lockups at 51 police station. And right at the very Rumvelt police station, a guy died too. A guy died who was shot, taken to hospital. From hospital, the police took him back to Rumvelt police station, and he died whilst in custody. Perhaps they're not learning. Perhaps they're not learning. But the thing is that person dying, and this is it. And we ain't hearing anything. Neither they're not contradicting the story. Neither are they saying anything whatsoever. And they're talking about being transparent and accountable.
Well, there was just one correction. He died in the police station, as I show the thing here. He died in the police station. I'm not sure if it was in the actual lockups, but they said the man died in the police station. And yeah, we're not seeing anything or hearing anything about that. Not a thing we are not hearing to what is going on there. Right? Now let me move on. Let me move on. One moment. Let me remove this so that I can remove the right. Now let me move. Over, fire. Guyana is a fire nation. You had a fire on Saturday, which severely damaged Christian Labor College. Yesterday, you had a fire at Rosal and the quarantine. People think there's 7 persons are homeless. And they had another fire over the weekend someplace. I can't remember the exact location now. But following the fire on Saturday at Christian Labor College, a fireman came out. Thing got viral. A fireman came out and blew out, I must say, Robeson, the Minister of Home Affairs. Fireman accused him of trying to go there and to direct how fire should be fought, giving us certain instructions, and the man carry on for 1 hour, just 1 hour and 2 minutes, I think, the tape. I looked at it. I looked at the tape in its entirety. Fireman, and he wasn't wrong. The things he was saying, that wasn't wrong. Ben believes he's a firefighter. The man called out Ben by name. Minister of Home Affairs, go in and fight. But the question I want to ask before we go into this thing in any greater detail, what happened to the other senior people in the fire service? We saw tape. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. Where when they had this fire in Parade Street some time ago, when they were fighting the fire, the minister turned up and berated the two senior men, the fire chief, the chief fire officer was right there, telling about the boots. You see me boots? My boots dirtier than your boots. And the men should put the oars at the source of the fire. Minister Ben at a fire scene, directing the men, telling them that they should turn up and men should get pickaxe, men must get this and men must get that. That's the minister on the road at the fire scene. That's how he carrying on. That is how he's carrying on. And the fireman, I'm going to tell you something about him in a while. He made some valid points, and we have been saying it all along. You got to fire, right? I would reference the breakdown fire some years ago. When they had the breakdown fire that Saturday afternoon, every time the canary, the commissioner, he was demanding, and all the senior officers at the fire scene, all the ministers were around the fire scene. So I asked the question, what were they doing there? Especially when you look at the structure of the police force. There is no way the commissioner and the senior officers from headquarters, along with the commander, should be there at the fire. Who is controlling? Who is taking overall? Who is the gold commander? You see, these things I don't know. And we made the point because in that breakdown fire, everybody at the scene, if you want additional resources, who is going to be there to coordinate the additional resources? You want the TSU to turn out. You want training school to send ranks to assist in crowd control. Who is going to be there? You need to get someone at headquarters, one or more persons, to take overall, to have a global view of what is going on. You can't go down on the ground, because when you go down on the ground, your ability to command and control the organization is limited. You can't be at breakdown, even though you get radio and all of those things. You can't be at breakdown and command and control the resources of the force during the course of a fire like that. You have to remain at headquarters. You have to remain so the information will feed into you. You know, because remember, when you have these incidents, you're going to have an incident commander. But you are still in charge of the force or the division, as the case may be. You can't be in charge of an incident in a division. What happens when another incident occurs? What happens when something else happens at the same time, simultaneously? So we tell them this. But Ben is the man, and other ministers are there, these fire scenes and so on. And the man carry on, the man tell Ben, the man talk about what Ben, demoralizing the fire service. Demoralizing. I want to know why the chief fire officer and the other senior people did not. I would have expected, for example, the matter that we referenced in Parade Street, where the minister carry on. Of course, the discipline and so on, they're not going to answer the minister at the fire scene when it has been recorded. But I would have thought that shortly thereafter, you would have requested or you would have demanded a meeting with the minister. And you would have told the minister in no uncertain manner, that's not the way it is to be done. You can't be berating and calling out my senior people on the road. And the sad thing is that the chief fire officer acting was there as well. He too was there, and the minister carry on. I don't tell the people. But you see, one of the problem is a lot of these people are acting. In the case of the chief fire officer, well, he ain't acting, but he is an extension. In the case of the squatter, he too is an extension, and therefore I believe because of that, they really can't talk. But I believe, knowing the people them and how they operate, that even if they were not an extension, they're just docile, just allow these things to go. You have to represent your organization and let the minister know this is how it goes. You can't go to the scene and give instructions as to how to fire. You tell me, put the hose at the source of the fire. How do you know? And the fireman on Saturday spoke about that. How do you know the source of the fire? The source of the fire is normally determined when the investigation is done after the fire. But here is it, the Minister of Home Affairs instructing them to tell the fire people to go there and put the source to the fire. And the man was right on Saturday. He said you should go and walk into the fire and put the source, show you where the source there. That is what you should do. That is what they're going to say disrespectful. But let me tell you this. Sit back, share the live. Let me tell you this. I know the fireman, right? I know the fireman, section leader Neville Comerbadge, right? He lives at BV Sideline Dam. Section leader Neville Comerbadge. You know Mr. BV, man. And Comerbadge can say what he said publicly, well, on the stream, because and nothing and empty. I hear people in the comment on Saturday. I looked at the comment, and people are saying, "Oh, you're gonna be transferred. You're gonna be disciplined." Nothing and happened to Neville Comerbadge. You know why? Because Neville Comerbadge is a big-time PPP man. I believe that Neville Comerbadge get more clout in the PPP than Robeson Van. And if you listen to him carefully in Saturday, he referring to the Attorney General as Anil. He referring to the man doing the finance as Ashney. That is the familiarity. So I don't think Ben can attempt to do anything because they have been using Neville Comerbadge to try to get support and all of that. He's a contractor. He build road in the village, right? He is, for the longest while now, He's the PPPC representative on the BV Triumph Neighborhood Democratic Council. Neville he has been known to be speaking on political platforms. This is a fireman I'm telling you about, And again, if you listen to him on Saturday, he alluded to all of that. He alluded, said, well, there's nothing saying, the thing talk about police and soldier and prison, but yes, nothing about fire. In other words, he can be a member of the Neighborhood Democratic Council. He can be speaking on political platforms and all of those things. He can get contracts that will be given to him by the government. And let me before bringing Mr. Conway, let me tell you, Almo, right? He's the countryman, yes, Cheryl. Let me tell you, Almo, that is the man. Remember I told you all my cash grant check? I applied for my cash grant on the 20th of February, right? On the second day in March, just less than 2 weeks, I got a call this Sunday morning. Somebody asking me if this is false. So I said, yes. And then the person said, are you in the country? So I said, what you want to know? Why are you questioning? Who is you? Neville Cumberbatch. So I said, why you asking? Because I know his background, I know that he is a big-time PPP man. Why is it you want to know if I'm here? Then he said to me, I have your cash grant check to deliver to you. So I said, you sure it's me? Because there's another Paul Slow nearby. He said, no, you Paul Esmond Slow. And then the man proceeded to call my national identification number. So I knew it was me referring to. So I said, well, come bring it. Shortly after the man turned up at my residence, and I went out, he took out the laptop, the tablet, go into the thing, sign it, I sign, collect the check, and then he tell you a picture. I said, buddy, me taking out no picture. Why would you want a picture? They want a picture for propaganda. So I said, no, he is the same man who brought the cash grant check at my residence and delivered it to me a couple of Sundays ago. So this man is not no ordinary fireman. His rank is, yes, he got a rank where he rank, section leader. That is his rank. But the man get big party clout. The man get big PPP. He's a big time man in the PPP. And let me tell you further about this man, that why he can afford to speak out like that publicly against the minister, even though he wrong, me ain't saying he wrong, but he can afford to speak publicly without any fear of repercussion. It's because he big in the PPP. They're using it for gun to get people, try to get people to vote for them and all that type of thing. As recent as last Friday, a couple days ago, the PPP advertised a meeting in the area. And where was the meeting being kept? At Neville Cumberbatch's residence at Silent Dam with Edgil as the main speaker. So y'all don't get carried away. Everybody say, oh, this man brave. And this man thing and so on. The man can do that because the man has coverage from the government. The man has coverage from the government. Right? So let me understand this thing, Let me understand. So when the man come out, a lot of people praising him for his bravery. It's about time somebody speak out. I understand, yes, it's about time. But the man who spoke out because he knows, or at least he believes, that he can do that and nothing can happen. And I'm wondering, the Machiavellian thinking in me, wondering if he wasn't set up to call out Ben. Because them two might be disgusted with Ben, and maybe they want this thing come out in the public, and therefore they put, for all I'm not saying that it's so, but it could very well be that he was either encouraged or egged on to go and call out Ben publicly. That is what it is. Ben going around all over the place and talking a lot of crap. We played some, the man got fire thief and them there in Paris, she tell you, put the hose, and it's not that he's doing it in a way that he's advising, very aggressively, right? Very aggressively, put the hose on the thing, that instruct them to do this. They must get tanked, they must get that, they must get axed. That is what publicly this man berating the senior people in the fire service, and they sat back there, or they stood there, and they took that. So this is not an isolated incident where he went to Christian Labor College on Saturday, which caused this fireman to come out, Neville Cumberbatch, right? Section leader Neville Cumberbatch, to make this live, a long live, 1 hour and 2 minutes, I think it was, calling out the minister. It's about time somebody call out, But as I'm saying, Neville Cumberbatch calling out is not the ordinary calling out, because Neville Cumberbatch has big connections with the PPP, and therefore he can afford to do that and not be afraid of victimization. So he come out and he call. And then I say, wonder if he was set up to do that. Let me bring him as a Conway thing. See, sure you would have seen that tape circulating with section leader Cumberbatch and section leader is Iraq. Yeah. Your views, my brother.
Well, I have to look it over a second time to analyze it. First, I was surprised that he made that outburst. But then again, you set some records straight that I didn't know about. And I wanted to, why the others from the fire chief down, where the minister could embarrass him or go talk all the nonsense in public and nobody. I don't expect they would really answer the minister publicly, but sure otherwise, privately in office, at least I'm not certain whether they're raising anything, or if they're raising anything, the minister continue all the time. You rush into the scene. He said that he was going with the head of canoe. I think they're getting born some drugs. And then when he got him thing and he left with breakneck speed to Cuchillo Labor College. What you going and do there? Yeah? What you going and do there? Yeah? He, you mentioned something about gold command. There's command gold, silver, and bronze. Gold sets the policy, silver develop the tactics, and bronze just do it. But we get difficulty or we get confusion or chaos when gold melting down to silver or melting down to bronze, or when silver moving up to gold or melting down to bronze, or when bronze one melt up to silver and to gold. Their levels, gold, silver, and bronze command, and must stick to the levels. What really been doing at all them fires? What you doing there? And then wrong instructions. Put your hose on the source of the fire. You get burned up. And then we listen to combat alarms on things. In terms of firefighting, part of the thing that he suggests there, that's after a while, especially in wooden buildings, roof does cave in, and you gotta be careful. And then my mind run to the maze, the fire at Maze School, where firemen get injured and one die, roof cave in, And he mentioned also that sometimes the fire is born in, if the building done born up already, and then Ben will come and say put water. Why are you going to throw water on it when it's a done deal? Then you should use your hose and wet other buildings as the case may be. I learned quite a lot from his presentation. But the thing is that Ben has been going around and giving instructions. He don't know fireman. He know about firefighting. But then those in the fire department, those in the top bracket, I don't think they're raising anything. If they might not raise it publicly, but privately they should pull Ben in a corner and tell him like it is, But he continue, but he's strong at it too, something may continue all the way, all the thing. So the thing is that we gotta be careful in terms of our levels of command. Gold, silver, and bronze command, and know your role. And if you're gold, don't melt down to silver or bronze. Or even your bronze, don't try to go up to silver and gold.
Well, Cumberbatch did say that in different words, say command, you got a protocol, and you must stick to the protocol. But you remember, as we have been saying, this is not the only situation where Ben finds himself there. Not only going there as an onlooker, but he's giving instructions as to how things must be done. The man goes there and he gives instruction. Do you remember? Only recently we played. The man went to the police inspectors and sergeant conference, and the man is giving tactical instructions to the ranks there. Listen to it, man. Listen.
You who are out there, if they come, we gotta shoot and scoot. And shoot good and scoot. And keep shooting and scooting until help arrives.
Well, that is shoot and scoot. He given instructions. Those are tactical decisions. And here it is, the Minister of Home Affairs giving tactical instructions to the police. They must shoot and scoot. Keep shooting and scooting until help arrives. That is what he is telling them. And there's an interesting letter in the newspaper sometime last week from Mark Archer, former member of the Guyana Defense Force, wrote. And he and then I think Kit Nascimento responded and talked a lot of crap as they would normally do. But Mark Archer has some valid points in that letter, in that this Venezuelan thing is not only now it started, not only now the threat to Guyana's territorial integrity, started years ago, since independence 1966, just before I think it raised its head. And they had what they called then the motto that every citizen or soldier, so every Guyanese citizen, in keeping with the Constitution, mind you, were trained to make sure that they were capable of defending their native land. Then you had the People's Militia, you had the National Service, you had all of those outlets that took up territory and base and the thing. What happened? Now you don't get nobody there. So the Venezuelans crossing over in the large numbers, and that is a shoot and scoot. That is what Ben telling them to do. Shoot good and scoot good. And that's not the only one. That's not the only one. He giving advice to about firearms or illegal firearms. Listen again.
Gun crimes and the holding and having of illegal guns, we are not going to be doing any amnesty. Those who have guns and shouldn't have them should perhaps walk into the nearest police station and give them up, or put them somewhere where they could be given up. You're not supposed to have any illegal gun. The question of having an illegal gun, in most instances, has nothing to do with being somebody in the bush and wanting to shoot wild hogs or whatever, or to get protein to food. It has to do with criminal activity. It has to do with criminal activity. If you have an illegal gun, pass by the police station, put it in a bag and throw it in the yard.
That is the type of advice you're getting from the Minister of National Security, Minister of Home Affairs. You get a illegal gun, you're not supposed to have it. I agree. But pass by the police station, put it in a bag and throw it in the yard. That is the advice. Throw it in the yard. In terms of the tactics, you got to shoot and you got to scoot. You got to keep shooting, you got to keep scooting until help arrives. That is the nonsenseness, what this man, I'm using the word nonsenseness because that is what I would have said. That is the nonsenseness that this minister talking about. Put in a bag, throw it in the yard. If you shoot and scoot, keep shooting and keep scooting until help arrives. Now, let me ask this question. Are these people, are they given any specialized training now? Seeing that you're saying that perhaps shooting to hold your position and so on is the thing to do, or shoot and run and shoot and run. Are they given any specific training? Are they being armed to deal with that? Do they have enough arms and ammunition? All of these things, men only go in there and talk because you get them out. You're only talking because you get them out. That is what is going on. Conrad, and let me say this. I'm convinced from the presentation of Neville Cumberbatch, the fireman, and from all that we have known, all that we have heard the minister saying, there can be no change. The force is demoralized. Fire service, the man talk about the fire service being demoralized as well. And no doubt the prison service as well. All these uniform branches that comes under the ministry overfills. That's what's going on because leadership, poor leadership. And again, I say in terms of the fire service, it took Neville Cumberbatch, right, as what section leader or whatever his designation is, to come and talk publicly. And I suspect, he mentioned it too in the thing, that he brought these things to the attention of the senior people there and they're doing nothing. So the man gets so frustrated that he had to do a live stream. And he could have done this live stream because he's comfortable. He's comfortable that they can't do nothing. The man get connections in the PPP. They can't do him a damn thing. Right? The ordinary man, any other man, By now, you would have gone to Timbuktu. You would have gone to Timbuktu by now, the ordinary man. So we understand this thing. So yes, Corbett ought to be complimented as many people have complimented him on social media. But I thought I'll tell y'all who he is and why he felt empowered to come and to make the type of statement he made on Saturday. Let me understand it. Let me understand. The other man, the ordinary man who get a type of clout in the PvP, dare not do that. People less things than that, and they're gone, dismiss, and they victimize you and all this everything. Less than that. Some people have not done anything and they're being victimized. Must just to come out and call out the minister publicly in that manner. Publicly in that manner. CC, do you want to say anything else on this matter before we move on?
You said it all, You're so correct, with the instructions that Ben given, and Ben just masquerading about the place. Perhaps he should scoot away, He should scoot away.
Well, if you are masquerade, normally in Guyana, masquerade is at mash time and Christmas. Mash gone. Let you wait till Christmas to masquerade if you want to masquerade, man. Let him wait to masquerade. You can't be masquerading when the security of the nation is at stake. The lives and limbs of firemen and policemen are at stake. And you come in the type of shoot and scoot and keep shooting and scooting. And then you telling me to put the hose and the fire and all that nonsense. Minister of National Security saying these things. In any other society, first of all, in any properly functioning society, there's no way he would have been put there. Right? And if by chance he was put there, by now he'd gone packing. By now he would have been sent packing. So many things going on in the ministry that he's in charge of. He would have been sent packing. Let me understand this clearly. Now let me move on. Police in the news again. Right? Again, perhaps for the wrong, not perhaps, again for the wrong reason. I saw a social media release over the weekend which says there's a massive people smuggling racket where Cuban nationals are being transported to Brazil, to the Brazilian border via the road to Letem. This is HGP Nightly News. Yesterday it came out. And hear what it says. Nightly News has confirmed that the operation is a well-organized and involves drivers and several junior and senior police officers. This network encourages Cubans to first travel to Guyana, a trip for which they do not need a visa. Once in Guyana, the Cubans present a return ticket to immigration authorities, and upon exiting the airport, the return ticket is canceled immediately. They then board at least 2 buses that are under the control of a businessman who owns a bus service. The Cubans are then transported to a Rob Street property where they spend the night and freshen up for travel to the following day. They then travel from Georgetown to Letem. Bribes are also allegedly paid to an assistant commissioner of police, a corporal, and a constable along the way to facilitate the free flow of the Cubans. A usually reliable source told 19 News that a Guyanese government directive was recently given not to allow Cuban nationals free flow through Letem to the Brazilian border. In fact, at 11:09 a.m. Sunday, several buses with Cuban nationals were spotted at Anai on their way to Letem. They, quote, they are building a hotel in Letem, which will be used to house the Cubans once they land in Letem, end of quote. A source familiar with the operation told Nightly News. Back in 2018, an Interpol investigation uncovered an operation where Cubans were moved through Guyana and Brazil at the cost of $3,000 to $4,000. I guess it's US dollars. Recently, the Donald Trump administration issued a threat to cancel visa of anyone or visa for anyone working with or supporting Cuban medical facilities, citing allegations of forced labor and claiming the mission encourages the Cuban regime. The BBC also reported last week that Indian nationals are trafficked through Guyana by way of Amsterdam and Trinidad and Tobago. More to come. This is damning because this thing has given certain information that can be easily checked. It's not something, it's not a wild speculation. They claim that the people land at the first of all, you can check to see if Cubans really require visa to come to Guyana, because it is saying that Cubans don't need visa to come to Guyana. So they use that, come to Guyana. Of course, I suspect when they come, the immigration wants to see a return ticket. And the allegation is that they show the return ticket, and as soon as they exit, they cancel the return ticket. Those things can be easily verified. Those things can be easily verified. You don't have to have Sherlock Holmes to get that, or Jessica Fletcher. That can be easily identified. And then it goes on to say they stay at a particular hotel in Rob Street. That too can be verified easily. Then they leave and they go to Lethem. They claim, for example, on Sunday, that's yesterday, at 11:09, the people are specific. At 11:09 on Sunday, several buses with Cuban nationals were spotted at Anai on their way to Lethem. I see photographs circulating on social media. Easy to check. Easy to check, but they're not going to check. They're going to attack the writer and the entity, the news entity. That's what they're going to attack. And I understand, since this thing was published, and reading the comments, people saying that the reporter perhaps is a Rip Van Winkle because this thing going on a long time. That is what some of the comments. Look at the comments yourself. They said this thing going on a long time. And hear this. Hear this. I am told, they got allegation that a certain so-called journalist who has close connections to the hierarchy of the police, he, she, it, they, them, whatever pronoun you want to use, as a boss or bosses that are involved in this operation. Let me repeat that. It is alleged that a so-called journalist as boss or bosses involved in this the people smuggling operation, smuggling of Cubans from Guyana to the Brazilian border over into Brazil. These things can be investigated. And you're called for Sherlock Holmes. These are damning allegations. And would they investigate? Let's hope that they investigate a credible investigation and let the public know. They're going to jump, well, debunk this thing, man. That's what we got to say. Investigate, produce evidence to contradict what is being said. Debunk this story. Until such time, you got to believe. And again, the people calling him and say, according to this article, police ranks, including an assistant commissioner, are involved. They are involved in this collecting money for these people to go to Brazil. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. Please see another damning allegation about smuggling, especially involving police ranks. What are your views, my brother?
Well, smuggling through the Lethem Trail, has always been going on, whether it's trafficking in person or goods or other things, it's been going on. I remember my days as a police commander there. They used to smuggle motorcycles from Brazil. A motorcycle, a ponga ganja, and get you a motorcycle. And we started to do some investigations, started to clamp down on it. Put some systems in place at Maburo, Lethem, Kubukari, the crossing there. And then I get some information through one of my sources on the other side of the border in Brazil that my main man at Lethem was actively involved in it. So I went to Commissioner Larry Lewis and I explained. He said, "Do you have concrete evidence?" I said, no, sir, but this is what I have. He said, "Well, what a man still do not let him. By tomorrow morning, he must come out to let him." And he came out. And then we discovered also they used to bypass Maburo. They used to use a trail that take them till to Aichuni. And they come around from Aichuni, the Kokwani, Aichuni Road. So it has been going on. And it will continue to go on unless you put certain measures in place. That the police at Mabura, the crossing at Kubukari, I think they should get customs there and police there, And it is true that the buses leave Jarchung during the night to catch the early morning crossing. The early morning crossing is 6 o'clock. and then they go through Ayukramo, and I think they get a outpost at Kakwood or somewhere around there, you know. But it cannot be done without the collaboration, without the work of the police. And then again, too, they might have some difficulties because when the Cubans come, there's nothing preventing them from traveling around Guyana. So they ain't gonna get no visa. They ain't gonna pass if they want to go to let them. But things gotta be properly monitored, especially the police at Mabura. And somewhere or other, there's bypass Mabura police station, or when they reach Mabura police station, people will Jackie Ope will come into play and they turn a blind eye on it. Same thing at Anai, same thing at Kakwood, same thing at Kubukari. So it's a big long of list of persons who would be involved in this thing there, but it is going on. And I'm not surprised. I've been hearing long now about the Cubans traveling regularly, you know. So human trafficking going to take place, and only human trafficking, other things. So we think all the guns and things coming in the place there. And Letem is a base. And apart from Letem, you have to get proper intelligence from Brazil. I remember, you know, when I was, and I could tag this without fear of continuing, when I was commander for ENF division, including Letem, my commissioner then called me and said, Conway, I hear anytime you go to Letem, you just go to Brazil. I said, yes. Any objection me going to Brazil? He said, me only telling you so. Because here anytime you go to Letem, anytime you go to Letem, you just go to Brazil. I said, when I go to Letem, must I go to Brazil or not? So I don't talk to you. I tell you, anytime I hear you go Letem, you just go Brazil. And that's how I used to get information, because you got to maintain relationship with the border police, and excellent relationship with the men in Brazil. And even when I was Commando Borbis, I'm a Felix tell me, when you tell me you want to go to Suriname, you go there, you used to get the cooperation. I used to go across to Nigeria and get lunch. And when I may want to drink rum and things, I come across to Springlands, you know. And that's where we were able to put a dent on the pirates. The pirates used to create havoc on the ICs because of the cooperation. And I said the police and the border has got to get good relationship. And more so the commander has got to get good relationship with the persons across the board. If not, things are going to go haywire. Unless if you, the commander, you are actively involved in the smuggling and the illegal activities.
Unless the senior ones are actively involved in the nastiness. You know, I love Mr. Conway when he shared the experience that he has on these things. You're making it real. These are not abstract things. People, we went there, we've been there, we did that. And we share so that people could understand what is going on. That is why we share, so that people could understand. We're talking from experience, right? Look at the thing. Many of them perhaps don't know all of these things that Mr. Conway talk about how they can bypass the main checkpoints and all of that. And the question, therefore, is, if this thing has been going on for so long, as people have been saying, and the thing is so well organized, what happened to the special branch we get? They only following Brutus around. Is what they and getting involved in thing where they're shooting and killing people, shooting 88 rounds at vehicle and missing all. That is all. That is what they are doing now. One would have thought that something like this, the police special branch would have had all this information that we are talking about and pass it to the relevant authorities. But let me say this. Let me put in this caveat. I am not, for all you know, they pass to the authorities and the authorities are not doing anything. So let me butt safe here, because I'm saying something like this, the police special branch should be on top of the game. They're aware of all what is going on. And if they're aware, they would have passed it on through the appropriate channel to the people who are responsible for putting measures in place. I'm assuming, it's not always good to assume, right? Not always good to assume. But I'm assuming that they have not been doing that, because I want to think that if the authorities knew what is going on, they might have taken some. I'm giving them that. They might have taken some action to stop this activity. And Mr. Conway is right, because if they don't require a visa to come to Guyana, they are not restricted to any part of Guyana as far as I'm aware. They can then go any place else. So if they're traveling from Georgetown to Letem, you stop them along the way. They're not doing anything illegal as far as we know. traveling from Georgetown to Lethem, Cubans traveling from Georgetown to Lethem, as far as I'm aware, is not illegal because if they don't require a visa to come to Guyana. Once in Guyana, I will assume that they can go any part of Guyana. And that is where the authorities have to come in to examine it and to see what measures can be put in place to deal with this issue. But we got to bring these things to your attention. And share the life. Share. We see the school full up, but we still got seats. Share the life, school full up. We still have seats. We still have seats. So I will urge you to continue to share the live. And let me remind you, as you are sharing, that we are still asking you, those of you who can afford to make a little contribution to the program, please, to keep us doing our research, to keep us advancing and thinking the technology and all of that. You would have noted over the years we have improved a lot. The picture quality is better because we invest in camera and lights and all of this type of thing. Yeah, the platform fee, we pay platform fee. We spend money, and therefore we are asking you for your support to keep it going. But share the live, and we are going to move on. Now, I'm going to show you a tape. And let me first tell you, as they would say, viewers' discretion advised, because the tape has some expletives in it. So let me warn you up front that the tape contains expletives. I'm going to show you, in other words, it contains cuss word. And let me show it to you. And at the end, it's about 4 minutes long. And after the tape, we are going to discuss it. Here we go.
Constable, excuse me, your police?
Yes, I know.
Constable, me you dangerous, no?
Just like the book, me must book them fucking ass so. Just so you gonna say I'm again.
What? Where you know that?
One said,
put on uniform.
Fuck uniform, make me put it on. You make me put on uniform. Let me put on uniform, no?
Police,
Hey,
I'm not about it.
But knock me the reps, no?
I'm not about it.
You knock me.
Knock you?
Don't say you're far in this
I
fucking
will knock you?
You knock me.
Why should I knock you? I knock you with a pen.
Well, there's you business.
Knock you?
All them fucking ass would have come later. They go book one of them yet. Tell me what I can
Put on your uniform, man.
I ain't putting on nothing. Me said put on nothing.
Put on your uniform, Constable.
What kind of food who stay black and die? Nothing else.
Put on your uniform, Constable Gilboy.
Hey, so walking there, you fucking thing they want. Nobody never book them. Nobody never book them for coming in at 9:30. Come fucking 24 hours work. When them so entry there? I come 10. I call them and tell you come in 10. I call you and tell you come in 10. So me just got anybody when come in at 9:30, 10 o'clock, you don't book them.
You call me. I got nothing to do with you.
Nobody call you. Anybody call you and tell you anything, you all to break down now. No, I don't tell you nothing any place. Don't realize
By
stuff.
conduct yourself, by.
Honey,
Constable, conduct
I
yourself.
said nobody can't be fucking.
No, you know I can't beat you. I can't beat you. You're not my child. Or what could do? I could push you out the wall.
You can't. On what grounds?
Yo,
on what grounds?
The
On
same
this-
grounds, the
on
same
what
grounds, the same grounds.
On what grounds?
On the
You
same
don't know that
grounds.
shit. Yeah, so I've said 1 week straight. You book couple. You book couples and you
Conduct
know.
yourself, by.
No.
Conduct yourself. Keep your energy when you start your children.
Yeah.
You ever tell you? Conduct yourself. Keep your energy.
Watch.
Keep your energy. No. Well, I tell you, keep the energy for when you get your children. You can make how much nice you want, raise up how much you want. Right? You keep the energy for when you start get your children, boss. You ever tell you? Good.
When I saw it, me 12 o'clock and 9:30 the other day, did you make any answer about that?
What time you came?
The one-sided man.
That's your business. What time you came?
The one fucking
You
sided.
continue.
Let's
Yes, I have
The
here.
next thing I think they swap by. And the most I could do is give me subordination. And I can't get me out this one. That would be my second charge in this official work. Nonsense. I'm going to read the constitution about due process and fair rights, man.
Put on your uniform, man.
I watch.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's the way. That's the yes. Thank you.
Folks, you ordered there for yourselves. You ordered there for yourselves. So this is not going to be no reported speech or anything like that. You ordered for yourself. And when we talk about the breakdown in discipline in the Guyana police force, some people believe that we are manufacturing this thing, right? Some people believe that we are manufacturing this thing. This is a constable, according to what the video said, named Gilbert. Might have, it looked like he report for duty. I understand that this is at the outpost at the by Stabrook Market, report for duty. The sergeant is telling him to put on a uniform. And the man cussing the sergeant. The man cussing the sergeant. And let me tell you all this. I ain't blaming the constable alone, because from the time he had uttered the first expletive and he behaved in that disrespectful manner, the police standing order says that the sergeant should have arrested him, put him under close arrest. That is what should have happened. He should have been placed under close arrest. And if he resisted, you can use sufficient force to subdue him and put him under close arrest. And you know what the standing order say about close arrest? Now, when you put him under close arrest, if he's behaving in a disorderly manner and so on, you can confine him in the prisoner's lockup as an ordinary prisoner. That is what it says. As a general rule, a rank is placed under close arrest is not to be put in the lockups. But when a man behave, a police rank behave in that type of manner, lockups. Sergeant allowed this man, no attempt made. I understand where they're coming from, you know, because the sergeant believe, all right, if you attempt to arrest him, the matter might escalate and he can come into a fight because the matter. But some action should have been taken, and this man can tell you he can't last work for that. But let me tell you, had I been the commander or any senior officer at the time, by today Monday, I don't know when the incident occurred, but by today Monday, you would have already gotten a charge sheet. Already gotten a charge sheet, because I can identify several offenses there. The first one that I identify is insubordinate by words, act, or demeanor. Take section 4C of the Police Act, chapter 17:01. Right away. 4Z, where the charge brutus under conduct to the prejudice of good order or discipline. Several charges. And I would have instructed as the commander that those charge sheets should be endorsed. Meaning that if he is found guilty, he can be dismissed from the force. And when you go through his record, he claimed that this is the second charge sheet he get and all of that. The second time, you only get one charge sheet. And the only thing they could discharge you. But, and the conviction of one charge, depending on the, yes, Sean, he disobeys the lawful order as well. Depending on the severity of the charge, it can be a first charge and you get dismissed. First charge, you get dismissed. This quarter dismissing people who get charged criminally and go before the court, and you're interdicting them, you're dismissing them right away, which is contrary to the Constitution, because they have a presumption of innocence. This man cussing up the sergeant in the police outpost, and I am not aware if anything has been done to him. And yes, Evelyn, not to E, but to others who might want to think likewise, he should have been arrested. Or even if you don't want to escalate the situation by arresting him, by now, he should have been, don't get the notice, don't get the charge sheet, 48 hours part, he should plea and deal with it. Plea and deal with it. And let me tell you all this. You got a lot of people here on this live who knew me when I was a young subordinate officer and sergeant and so on. And they can tell you, if I gave you a constable instruction and he dare not cuss, in them days you're going to attempt to cuss me or any other sergeant. He dared to show any type of resistance. But he would have been warned in the first instance. And then he would have been placed under close arrest. And chances are, when you attempt to arrest him, he would have resisted. And the other SOs who were there would have come and would have taken action, and he would have been placed where he ought to be placed in some lockup. And by now, he would have been gone a long time on the walk. Do you want, let me understand this thing clearly, based on what we started just now. Do you want people like that in the Guyana police force? People who have no respect. First of all, he ain't got no respect for himself. And he doesn't respect authority. Because this is a sergeant talking to you, and this is how he carry on. Cursing the sergeant. Cursing the sergeant openly. Other people, other ranks are wrong. Other ranks. I don't think you want people like him in the force, even though the force is short and they're scraping the barrel. When incidents like these occur, you got to send a message. He should be sent packing. Charge sheet. You're thinking, notice, charge sheet. Endorse the charge sheet. Right? By this morning, because I think 48 hours might have passed, he is made to plead to the charge. He pleads not guilty, your trial almost immediately, because you got a couple of witnesses. This is not no murder trial. Couple of witnesses. And let him defend himself in the orderly room. But them things don't happen now. And that is why you get behavior like this, that for the public to see. The public to see what is going on in the police force. And my information is that this is not an isolated incident. That is the way these junior ranks. Now, I know these, the man talking to sergeant, I hear people, inspectors and officers, ranks talking to them anyhow. Because as I've said, when we talk about respect, respect is something you have to earn. Respect, you have to carry yourself in such a way that you are respected, right? But then, what going on in the force? What is going on in the Guyana police force? From top right to bottom, you get a situation where the commissioner is accused of, well, not accused, he admits that he took $8.5 million from a businessman to finance the wedding of Butas, who has now been charged 261 criminal charges. 261 criminal charges. So it's not downstairs alone. You get an allegation now that I just read to you that an assistant commissioner collecting for smuggling Cubans across to Brazil. What do you expect? What do you expect? People are sitting at the top. You know, I made a statement here before that, and you know, it incurred the wrath of Brutus, get it live, write me, all that sort of thing, and so on. I said that for many of them, Ben spoke about side hustle. He said police can get side hustle and things. I said for many of them, the police work is a side hustle because the main hustle, whether they want to get sandpit, whether they want to get hotel, wherever they want to get business and thing, netting millions and millions of dollars, that is the main business. And the police work is used for coverage, side hustle. But then again, don't let's confine it to the police force, you know, because we have seen evidence. Where are the ministries and the government departments? Skullduggery is taking place, corruption and all that taking place. Can you recall, not so long ago last year, the sanction against May Thomas, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, and what did the USA? That's involving corruption. That's what I say. Jack Dio goes there on Thursday and he signaled out the Mohammed, how they are sanctioned. Yeah, but your PS sanctioned as well. Your PS was sanctioned along with those people, and the people name the crimes that they are alleging that she committed. Collecting bribe for the gun license, collecting bribe for all kind of thing. That's what they say, to contract, to facilitate contract. That is what they say. So don't view this Cuban smuggling and all those things in isolation. It is part of the overall picture. Corruption in all shape and form in the country, in the police force. Corruption is going on. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to have his say on this matter. You see, responsible cussing up the sergeant, man. You're a commander, you've been at training, you run station. Let me hear your views on it.
Well, up front, I don't commit a surgery, you know, surgical operation will have been done ever since. But the thing is that thing happened at the outpost outside of Stabrook there. And sometimes when from my understanding is that who they send there? Most they send there bad eggs, especially the constable level. A man get in trouble, you want to get away, send him like you work at the outpost there. But I listen to it, it is deplorable. There's it, a constable cussing up a sergeant. And for me, the sergeant exercised quite a lot of restraint. Perhaps he wanted them to for the committee self and allow the tape to roll, so that he could get the evidence. But he don't qualify for the lockups. Imagine it, and he cussing the sergeant in the presence and hearing of other ranks. And then he's of the view that there's only one charge he get. And if he get another one, he can't get dismissed. I don't know if there's a policy in the police force. The the thing is mind-boggling. And Paul, I mentioned but lockups. And here is section 10(6) of the Police Discipline Act saying any member of the force who, while under arrest, is guilty of continued violence or misconduct shall in serious cases be confined as an ordinary prisoner in the lockups of the station to which he may be at the time. If you continue misconduct, could go in the lockups like an ordinary prisoner. But his behavior is unbecoming. That's not the type of person that you want in any police force. And I hope that the action should be swift, should be certain, should be appropriate. I hope by now they don't decided what they're going to do with him, because there's no. And things like that is swift, is certain, and appropriate. And for me, the only appropriate thing is surgery, dismissal. Done with it. Done with it. Like go long way. Like up on the road and cuss up.
Yeah, I agree. That type of behavior, it is due process, but you charge it under the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. Several offenses have been identified. You charge it, and there's the charge. And quick time you get rid of your man. I don't think you need people like that in the police force, as short as they are. And even though they're struggling to retain people, why would you want someone who display that type of disrespect for authority in the police force, which is supposed to be a discipline organization? Why? Why would you want? Why? And again, I would say that he has raised some issues which would require some investigation. He has raised issues which would require investigation. Like he did talk about the conduct of the sergeant. Basically, he's claiming discrimination. You might need to investigate all of that and try to I'd say whether the sergeant that particular sergeant is the right person for being in charge of that outpost. But outpost is a different subject we can talk about some other day. We don't have time to deal with outposts, because it is my view that many of the outposts that they are established around the place is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. I was hoping to show you the tape with the outposts as Wisrock, but somehow we didn't get it uploaded. So we're going to deal with that some other time. Some other time we can deal with that. Right? But it's in Georgetown outpost, you got an outpost by Fogarty's. They got outposts now at that one there at Stabrook Market. Recently, they established one at Border Market. These are these small outposts. I'm talking about outposts like East of Penitence that is properly staffed. President goes away, outpost. Border Market, outpost. I went to Monipo Market, outpost at Monipo Market. What it's a waste of resource. It's waste of resource. And as I said, that can be for a different day on a different subject. Let me move on. I promised in the notification that we're going to revisit the carnage on the road. The carnage. We spoke about it on Wednesday, and between Wednesday and now, we have had, as far as I read, at least 3 persons have died since then on the road. 3 persons have died. The most recent one, most recent that I'm aware of, and this is yesterday morning. I don't know, things are happening at such a rapid pace that between yesterday morning, 3 o'clock, when the young Johnson died, and now they might have very well add additional, I don't know. But I'm talking the recent one that I'm referring to is Johnson, Akil Johnson, the lawyer, young 27-year-old lawyer. And many of these accident, the victims are young people. It is said by the police that this motor vehicle, they say I think it's a Nissan Juke, was proceeding north along Sheriff Street. So when it approached Dandanava Street, apparently there's a turning lane there, and the vehicle moved east into the turning lane. They claim that this motorcycle ridden by this young attorney was proceeding in a southerly direction at a fast rate of speed. They say he hadn't done helmet. He crashed in head-on. That's what they're saying. He crashed head-on into the car, and he died. Well, the police gave a nonsensical thing to say. He crashed into the vehicle. He fell on the roadway where he received injuries. That is what they're saying now. Stabrook News this morning, clean it up. But the police release, which I have, said that this man riding the motorcycle at speed without helmet, crashed head-on into this car. He fell on the roadway where he received injuries. English language, you know. So they're suggesting that all the injuries that he received when he fell on the roadway. So even though this man crashed, and let me show you all the car. This is the car that they said he crashed. A motorcycle crashed into this car. Police say he fell and he received injuries. So they're suggesting, if you interpret what they're saying, that when this accident occurred, resulted in all this damage to this vehicle, the rider did not receive injuries then. But I can tell you from my experience at the traffic chief and all of that, when you look at this right away, you see this impact here, this dent to this windshield, that is normally caused by the head of the person making contact. Any accident investigator, once you go, that is the first thing. You look, but not the first thing. But this is an indication that the man head came into that part, into contact with that part of the vehicle. Accidents. And let me say this. I'm going to address certain issues that came up. Again, I am saying for the umpteenth time that these piecemeal measures that they're taking to deal with the traffic situation can work. Right? It needs a very comprehensive review and overall of the system. Perhaps starting with the learner driver. What qualifies a person to get a license to drive a vehicle? Different categories of vehicle. We saw where some time ago a 21-year-old truck driver, this was in East Bank, killed some man, 21-year-old, and he's driving a truck. They thought, look, this thing is out of hand, and it is clear that the people don't have any idea how to deal with it. The attorney general can tell you, oh, you're going to amend the legislation. So they amend the legislation to make causing death by dangerous driving, right? If you are under the influence of alcohol at the time, you charge a motor manslaughter. They have charged one man that I'm aware of who killed the policewoman in front of BB police station. And the information is, shortly thereafter, that charge was reduced to the regular causing death by dangerous driving. Enough talk. And I made the statement there, then and there, and I'm going to make it again. Given the way how breathalyzer test is administered in Guyana, it is extremely difficult for you to charge anyone for motor manslaughter and get a conviction. Very difficult. Very difficult. And because the police are not properly trained to administer the breathalyzer and to do the calibration. I did a SOP on it when I was at Operation Neil Semple was traffic chief, and we did something. It is there. I don't know if it's used. It talks about the training. It talks about the way to give the evidence. All of that we talk about. It is there in an order. And the commissioner acting, acting now, the confirmed squatter like to talk about SOPs and all that. Many times they don't have. In this case, I know there is one because I get a copy still on my computer. I still have a copy of it. They're not doing anything serious. They say $2,000, $200,000 if you're found to be above the legal limit, or what happens, right? We have at least 2 cases where people refuse to take the breathalyzer test. They're charged for refusing, and they're paying $30,000. This is madness, and this is not the police. I am saying again, that this thing has gone beyond the police now. Very little the police can do to bring this back, because you're talking about enforcement, but enforcement cannot operate in a vacuum, in isolation. You have to have a proper system. The president and all them talking about the merit point system for the longest while. Nothing happened. They talk, remember they told us about using the cameras and so on for charge people for speeding. They even went so far to publicize a whole set of vehicles speeding along the E-Roads highway and all that. What happened to all those things? Enough talk and nothing else. Enough talk and nothing else. I mean, it's sad. People are losing their lives. Young men, a 27-year-old man, understand he's a QC student, he from QC. Bright young man, 27 years old, he's a liar. I know the family, come from good family. But what? You have they're going to come and tell you the man is wearing helmet and so on. But it's an environment of lawlessness. It's an environment of lawlessness. Go around the country as I did recently. They talk about this electric bike. They passed legislation, I think about a year ago, to say they have to be registered. And what going to happen? You just take a casual drive around and you're going to see. Some children riding on the public road. Children riding. Nothing can happen. They talk about safety helmet. Again, right around the place. Safety helmet, police there on the road. People riding past. And I'm not blaming the police. I understand this. Because if you are on traffic duty, directing traffic, and a man come up and you ain't get on helmet, what will you do? You're going to run behind him? You're going to also it's limited to what you can do. So all of these things need to be looked at. The moving traffic chief, they had Dennis Stevens, who's one of the most qualified senior men in the force dealing with traffic. He went there, people dying on the road, they movie. They put Mahendra Singh. Right? I got a strong suspicion, even though I'm not get all the records, that since Mahendra Singh got the accident figures might have increased relatively comparatively. But what he got promotion, he's now assistant commissioner. That is what is going on. Mr. Conway mentioned the man across the river, where the statistics show that is perhaps the most deadly roads from Breedenook to Purika. Deadly roads in the country. Man was best cop not so long ago. And now the man got promoted from assistant superintendent to superintendent. So one wonders whether they ever just sit down and look at these things. And there's no need for them to make sure the ranks in the force, to make sure proper systems are in place, because regardless, you're gonna get promotion. You're gonna be promoted. You are going to be promoted. But it is time, as we said again, they look at it very comprehensively. I believe they should start by establishing a Department of Transportation. Take away some of these responsibilities for certifying vehicle, for giving certificate of competence to drivers. That should be taken away from the police. And don't tell me that you're going to still get corruption. Yeah, you're going to still get corruption, no doubt. But at least the police can investigate that agency, as against what you have now, if allegations are made, police investigating themselves. At least you will have that comfort in the system. It is madness. Start with the Department of Transportation, where they look at all things relating to driving. Examination, they administer examination, both theory and practical. They look at engineering, because a lot of these things, engineering might be a factor, right? They look at all aspects, certification of motor vehicle fitness and all of that. All of these things you got to look at, because they don't do any proper investigation. Last week, one of the students asked, either do accident reconstruction in Guyana. No, they don't do that. Last night, the student asked me, what about the deceased? When a person dies, do they check to see if the person was under the influence of alcohol? No, and there's not police. When the autopsy is done, all that should happen. All that should happen. But those things are not being done. And people are going to continue to hold their head on the ball. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then I'm going to talk something more about the same accident situation. CC, your views on the spate of accidents we have been having?
Well, like you, I'm saying that the piecemeal efforts can't work. I'm repeating it all the time. It got to be a holistic approach towards this traffic situation. And it got to be data-driven. They got to get a database telling you what is happening, real life situation, what is happening, and it could be easily done. They were to input the information to a central base, and the best place is traffic headquarters, and where you have people who would analyze it, and answer like what they're doing now, that instead of a fatal accident, it's saying a fatal incident. Person spent 2 weeks in hospital and die after accident, and they say no, that is not a fatal accident. The man died because of neglect of the hospital, and also the nonsense is the thing, that they're cocking the figures, that they're ghosting. So if your database is flawed, your response to the situation will be flawed. We have a traffic chief get a proclivity to do traffic work on the social media. He's more on the social media than he's on the road. And traffic work is road work. That's why he was there. I know, Paul, you used to be down there. I know Brickdam. There's a man named Boyce, so I'm happy that he got promoted to ASP the other day. You would know when Boyce pass around there. If you pass around the Market Square and you see them minibus and car driving out, you know Boyce been there, or he just passed there, or Boyce about to come there. You need rail enforcers. And I always mentioning the Jaguar in the room, the corruption to obtain driver's license. They hand over hook, line, and sinker to Zara to do the learner driver package online. And nobody doing any integrity testing on Zara. Nobody trying no anti-corruption testing on Zara. What Zara say is that Zara, they're paragons of virtue. They're blameless. Corruption there. And I remember the 29th of July last year, Kip Nascimento, sometimes he's write some nonsense. But this one is where he write about the traffic situation. And let me read part of it here. We say, I have, however, investigated the process and found from personal conversation that many fully licensed drivers have been able to avoid taking the practical road driving test by bribing police officers and receiving a license. This means that the obvious result of the practice is that there are some drivers on the road who may have never actually driven a motor vehicle before become fully licensed. Kit Nascimento says so. I believe he. I don't believe anything he said, but I believe he did. And what they're doing, putting people on the road, a whole set of people on the road. And here's what Starbucks News said in an editorial talking about the amount of people on the road, the motorcyclists and foot. He said the bad thing about their presence is that they seem to be in their own world, operating their own business, which is not necessarily the business that they were put in on the road to address. That is to keep a sharp eye on traffic violators, either through speeding, pranks, or which put others on the road in danger. The more rules there are, the more there are deaths, injuries, and abuses. So they're getting the wrong approach. Putting a whole set of men on the road doesn't mean a single thing. Putting new legislation doesn't mean a single thing because it ain't working. And for me, the test of the police effectiveness, I'm talking about the traffic, is the absence of accidents, be it fatal, serious, minor damage, and chaos on the road. Not the evidence of police activity dealing with the problem. Not the evidence of also the people on the road. Is the absence of these accidents and chaos on the road. And as you mentioned, the people who supervising the most dangerous roads in this country, they give them run up best cup, and then they make them promote from assistant superintendent to superintendent, skip a deputy superintendent rank, and you supervising the most dangerous roads, the deadliest roads in this country. The traffic chief, chaos on the road, fatal accident, serious accident, minor accident, damage accident, the order of the day, and you make it an assistant commissioner. What you expect gonna happen? Huh? People must be promoted based on their performance, based on what they're doing. As I say already in my opening, you get a proclivity to live on the social media, on the television, on the radio, talking about traffic. Traffic is road work. You don't see the traffic chief on the walk on the road. He must go down there, set the example, do like what Bai's doing in Brickdam, and get his ranks them to do that too. But they're in office and they sit down in office there, and all they do is mounting up of themselves. I'm saying that it needs a holistic approach, and the commanders too. Commanders must get involved. Don't leave it to the traffic ranks. Paul, you design a policy, especially with the practical exercises, that the list got to go to the commando. This got to go to the commando weekly in terms of who registered to do the practical examination. And when the examination is finished, they send back a return to you. And also you will appoint somebody to be there with the traffic man. Those things don't be done. Few people doing practical, and then when you go to GRA full up with people who get competence, because based on the practical you get competence, and you go to GRA to get your license. Always got to talk about Borbies when I went there, because Springlands are the best drivers in Guyana. If 10 people register to do the exam, all 10 would pass. And I call the traffic man, say, hey, don't bring this nonsense to me. I don't want no 100% pass. And he still continued to say 100% to me. And he said he is the certifying officer. It's only he could give people license. The commander can't give people license. Yeah? And I sent for you, I talked to you, and then it continued, and then I just transfer it to Aurelia. As I go to Aurelia, which is about, I think, 90 miles away from Springland. As I go and certify them Dutch boats. Go and certify them boats. What thing? He say, Skipper give me a couple of months now. I say, I'm going to find you dead in the Quarantine River, or I'm going to find you dead on the road because I'm taking the people license. I'm taking people money for license. And he go and spend about 6-7 months, and then he left the work. That commanders has got to get involved. Commanders got to be proactive. Commanders got to look at traffic also, not only crime. And don't leave it to the traffic man. That all has got to be involved in this traffic situation, unless things are going to get worse. Or as in we days, we used to say, you're going to get worse or worse.
Right. Let me show you a couple more things on accident. Look, this is one.
Guyana, all the morning. All the Tuesday morning. Look at Guyana. Breaking news. Man flying to Lantern Plus. Destroy couple tomb. Knock down couple dead. One thing left now is to dig a hole and put down in the bank ground. Okay, I know who's giving my taxi for walking though. Who's giving my taxi for walk? The man can't drive, the man's wild. Why in his car just say speed? That's where you park now, man. In the bank ground, just gotta get a hole now, put it down on the feet.
Look at the next one. Look at the next one. Hey, look.
Concern, I'm telling you. I can make this me concern. Watch a truck on the road, jam me car. What do you windscreen? You can't even see any windscreen. Right? I can make this me concern. Right? Look at this here, sir. What do you know more? You even got to know for the truck. They are the police force. What do you say, sir? You even got the legal know for the truck. Right? have no money or nothing. Let me bring him the cup. Concern, I'm telling you. I can make this me concern.
Look at next one. Look, this here. Look. This is a vehicle. This is a minibus. It's a minibus in Guyana. How this minibus get fitness? Or even if you want to say when it got the certificate of fitness, it didn't have all of these tinted and obscured windscreen and all that. Well, people have seen it on the road. Policemen have seen it on the road to deal with it. This is the type of lawlessness that we're talking about. I have seen vehicles around heavily tinted. Apparently there's no longer an offense called obscure review. Advertisement, the old black glass, all in front, they got top visor, bottom visor. You can barely see through. And all of those things are illegal. And they're passing policemen on the road, the traffic chief talking and doing that. These are some of the things that you have to address. These are some of the things that they have to address. And let me tell you a few more, because, you know, the use of trade plate, I think the police published something recently, but that is one of the most abused systems they get. Everybody using trade plate. And the law is clear. Let me read what it says, you know. In Guyana, trade plates, also known as dealers' general license plates, are issued by the Guyana Revenue Authority to auto dealers, allowing them to temporarily drive or move vehicles in their possession without full tax and registration. The primary use of trade plates is to facilitate the movement of vehicles that are under the possession of a licensed auto dealer, allowing them to be driven for purposes such as test drive, delivery, or moving vehicles to and from dealership. Auto dealers need to obtain a dealer's identity. It says trade plates are specifically for vehicles associated with a motor trade business and cannot be used for personal vehicles for social, domestic, or pleasure use. Go around the place, and let me add, they cannot be used after working hours as well, on weekends and holidays. But you go any place in Guyana, lawlessness, trade plate all over against the law, and they're not seeing it to deal with it. They're not dealing with it, and you want to know why they have the lawlessness. And we run out of time, and let me tell you this one here too. Somebody asked in the comment yesterday, I saw a comment, they want me to explain undertaking as it relates to driving. Now the law says, I can't remember the exact section, in Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, that you should drive to the left or near side of the road. That is the language. Drive on the left or near side. And you should only come out, as we would say, to overtake a vehicle. And as soon as you finish overtaking, you have to go back to the left or near side of the road. Now, undertaking is a situation where a lot of vehicles drive, not on the left or near side, but on the right side of the road. Many of them drive within the speed limit or even below the speed limit. So if you want to overtake or what you want to pass them, which is a legitimate maneuver, they are not on the left or near side of the road, so you have to pass on the wrong side. You have to pass on the left side, and that is known as undertaking. Not the undertaker in terms of person dealing with them. You can't pass on the right, which you should do, because they should be driving on the left or near side. They are driving on the wrong side, which is the right side of the road, of the particular carriageway, and therefore they might be at a reasonable speed, slow speed. You want to overtake, you are forced to go on the inside, which is known as undertaking. The next thing I want to answer, somebody asked it. I think I saw one of Francis Michael Bailey's comments. Someone had an accident with a, I think it was a GDF vehicle, some government vehicle, and they're claiming that when they went talking about compensation, the difficulty they're having because the vehicle does not have insurance. But I have news for you. No government vehicle is required to have insurance. I have news for you. No government of Guyana vehicle, none, is required to have insurance. So if you get involved in an accident with a government of Guyana vehicle, whether it's police vehicle, GDF vehicle, fire vehicle, the vehicle belonging to the ministries, any vehicle belonging to the government, there's no requirement for them to get insurance. So if you get involved with any one of them, basically you're on your own. Basically, you are on your own. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing remarks, and then I'm gonna close off. CC, your closing remarks.
All right, again back to Barbies and to the fatal accident they had involving the deputy commander there, Stanley, and a pedestrian. Pure cover-up going on. And only that, they have since, this is a man who is involved in a fatal accident, and from all appearance, could be at fault. And what they do, they promoted him from a deputy commander, he turned a commander, and they sent him to Region 8. He's now Commander Region number 8, just involved in a fatal accident. The investigation haven't gone anywhere if they're doing any kind of investigation. And he is now Commander Region number 8. Region number 8. And for me, it's very important when you are investigating the death of a human being. It's the death of a human being. A man died. The relatives want closure. I ain't holding any brief for them. They want closure. And no real investigation is being done to that fatal accident at Borbies. We talk about all the issues involved. We talk about the commander was, people saying that he was bar hopping. We talk about people say he was bar hopping and he was bending his elbows. And there is it. He's now being elevated to the position of a commander, region number 8. Or people say the last way in the bush bottom. And I'm always concerned when a human being dies. I'm also under tragic circumstances. And I gotta repeat this steady and repeat all the time. What I got from the FBI and what is so instilling my persons who are investigating the death of a human being. And here we say, no greater honor will ever be bestowed on an officer or a more profound duty imposed on him than when he is entrusted with the investigation of the death of a human being. It is his duty to find the facts, regardless of color or creed, without prejudice, and let no power or deter him from presenting those facts to the court without regards to personality. And that's what we should instill in our investigators, whether they're investigating a suicide, a natural death, or a homicide. This is what they must be guided with. I repeat myself, the deputy commander involved in a fatal accident. No proper investigation being done. We understand he didn't blow into the thing there. Another man blow and you hear 0, that the thing come up to 0. I know where they get the reading from, the test. I know where they're from. And he has been elevated to the rank of division, from deputy division commander to divisional commander. He gone to Region 8. Sending there to Region 8 to relieve another superintendent. All in an effort, understand, is to indianize the commands, the divisional command of the Guyana Police Force. And further, I say not.
Right, thank you for that, my brother. And I'm gonna, people looking forward to the therapy. So here is your therapy.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su. My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
Right, so you got to get your therapy. I'm not going to deny you that. In closing, let me say there is the, the Melly issue. We didn't get time to go into any great detail. There was a last Tuesday, they had what they call a solidarity meeting at the Square of the Revolution. Information is that there's going to be another meeting of that nature tomorrow, Tuesday at 5 p.m., Square of the Revolution as well. I understand too, we had said that she was due for some hearing before the immigration judge in June. The most recent information we have is that has come forward to Friday. This Friday, the 28th, it will be. When we meet again next Wednesday, we're going to be able to provide you with more information, because a lot of things happen following the solidarity meeting, the vice president attacking, and, the chronicle that mouthpiece to the government. They characterize that. Let me have it somewhere, They characterize that meeting. They characterize that meeting as a meeting by the opposition to protest the United States immigration policies. Words to that effect. That is how they characterize that get together there, that they had, the meeting that they had in solidarity of Melly Mel last Tuesday afternoon, the Square the Revolution. Chronicle, government propaganda paper, characterize that meeting as an opposition rally, something to the effect, to protest the immigration policy of the United States. You think these people are ordinary? And as I told you before, this is an election year, a lot of propaganda. And that was clearly propaganda. They're pandering to the U.S. government. That is what they're doing. That is what they are doing. That is what they will continue to do. And we ain't got time to go into it, but the greatest threat, in my view, that we face now is the threat from Venezuela. And what have they done? What are they doing? Absolutely little, very little. Look, this is over the weekend, Maduro, right? This is something in Lucy posted today, that was yesterday, by Venezuelan government social media page. Translation, they have it in Spanish, but it is translating. Our armed forces must be prepared to defend the sovereignty of the Essequibo. That is what Venezuela government is saying. What is our government doing? As far as I'm aware, very little. Not even trying to mobilize the population. Not doing anything, but they can attack Nazima Ragabir from the Guyana Press Association. They can attack Melly Mel, and they can attack Bork, and they can attack all kind of people. But the people that should really focus their attention on the greatest threat to Guyana right now, Venezuela, they ain't doing that. They ain't doing that. Folks, we have had a long morning. We have had a long morning, and we have come to an end. I want to thank you for your attendance. Oh, large numbers were in attendance. I thank you for that. And we are encouraged. Again, be safe. Be safe. As I normally leave by asking you to be safe. Guyana is a dangerous place. Road accidents. Some flu going around and all kind of craziness you have. Fires. Frequent fires. And I don't know how Ben and them are addressing it. But I want to urge you, because you are responsible for your safety, urge you to remain safe. And until we meet again, which should be on Wednesday, God's willing, stay safe and be well. Bye.